Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at pitching for today, the 21st of September. It is Saturday. We do have a 5-game early and an 8-game main slate. Actually, looks like a 7-game main slate now due to a time change, which I didn't check. Some weather potentially in Baltimore and Boston by the sounds of it, but we won't know more until the day gets going a little bit deeper. So with that said, we are going to just focus on pitching for what it is at this point. Um, this is a first look at the pitching options for the day. I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you play on FanDuel, I would cut my pool into a half or even a third. Do not get as creative. You just don't need to. Plus, scoring system is different. Pricing isn't as quite as tight for stacking purposes. It allows you to focus on, a main few pitchers with big time K upside because Ks are even more important to the FanDuel scoring than on DraftKings. With that said, let's take a look at some of these pitching options in front of us. We have Pablo Lopez at the top. Um, Obviously, the aforementioned weather, but I like Pablo Lopez. He shut down Boston. There's talks that Rafael Devers is going to be shut down for the season. From a fantasy point perspective, Lopez has averaged just slightly more points on the road. His K numbers have been stronger, but his walks, home runs allowed, uh, go up when on the road. With that said, he has plenty of upside. He's been a little bit more volatile this season than we'd like to see, but uh, definitely somebody that I want to have exposure to. A minus 148 favorite as of right now. K prop of 7.5. Juice is on the under, but still a very strong K prop for us today. Max Fried taking on Miami. Charlie Morton let us down a little bit against Miami. Fried looked pretty good against the Marlins so far this year, and his numbers have been best when on the road. Um, Tough to ignore that. Not a lot of, you know, big upside recently. He did have one against Toronto. Strong start against Minnesota. Uh, it's going to be really tough to ignore. His K prop 6.5 juices on the under, but he is a minus 265 favorite in this game. Should be fairly popular. Ranger Suarez thrown the ball pretty well against the Mets, has beaten them both times. He's been best on the road, but he hasn't been overly sharp of late. Walks are up. Strikeouts haven't really been there. I'm going to end up passing on Suarez. Uh, Guy I loved early in the season. I just love overall, but I don't really feel like it's the best spot for him. He's a slight dog, not too major. K prop of 4.5. Juice is on the over, but still, uh, it just feels like a spot where I can pass on him and be all right. Shamanaya has been pretty good this season. Uh, 6 straight starts of 21 plus fantasy points. Pretty good. Has had some struggles against the Phillies. Let's look at both appearances just to get an idea. Um, Actually, looks like one was pretty strong and the other one was not so good. So I'm interested in Mania just because the Phillies did clinch their playoff spot, or, or was it the division? Um, Either way, a little hangover maybe. Um, Wins are important, that's for sure. But I would say that this game means more to the Mets than the Phillies. Manias K prop 6.5. Juices on the under, but still solid K prop, and he is a minus 120 favorite. So in that game, I prefer Mania over Suarez at this point. As we kind of look down, I don't see a ton to like from the other pitching options. I mean, I generally like Taj Bradley because he does have ability. He is at his best when at home. He did absolutely dominate Toronto the first time he faced them. He is a minus 135 favorite. His K prop sitting at 5.5. But I mean, generally he's just going to allow runs and probably a home run or two. Uh, it's whether he can offset it with some strikeout upside. He has the ability. If you want to mix him in, I will not blame you. I think I'd rather play him than Suarez right now, but there's just a lot of volatility to it. And I might want to just get perfect at pitching. I hate using the word perfect, but um, go super small in my pool across, my 150 or 300 lineups or however many I'm going to end up doing, um, just so I can try to nail the stat combinations better. Um, Cutter Crawford, somebody we used a bunch at various times this season. I don't think I'm going to get there. I know he has some K upside. Minnesota does strike out a little bit now, um, so maybe. But again, I just don't. I think I'd put him behind Bradley, maybe on par with Suarez. Uh, but that's kind of pushing it. Kid Povich has had some pretty strong starts. 8+ strikeouts in 2 out of his last 3. Uh, did just start against this Detroit team and throw a gem. Maybe we sneak him in there. Talented for sure, but he's had some pretty bad performances so far this year. K prop a 4.5 with juice on the over. He's a minus 135 favorite, so maybe sprinkling him in as well. A couple guys to sprinkle in around the main 3. Maybe that makes the most sense for us. Reese Olson, a guy I like long term, but not right now. Yariel Rodriguez, if they would let him throw 90 pitches, maybe. Um, Flipping over to the main slate, we get Ronel Blanco returning to the rotation for the second time. I don't know why they moved him to the bullpen, but whatever. Strong option against a weak Angels squad. Sitting as a minus 238 favorite. K prop is 6.5 juices on the under. So definitely Blanco. Rodon certainly shut down Oakland the first time, but he's been pretty bad on the road. His K's have been there on the road, but other than that, he's been pretty bad. I will utilize him just because he does have plenty of upside, but I also will be stacking Oakland because they do have plenty of power upside. Singer, we know that game was removed from the slate. Matthew Boyd, St. Louis doesn't strike out a whole lot, but he's looked pretty good with Cleveland. I think I might want to sprinkle him in, to be honest. Uh, Feels weird for sure. Um, just because we haven't really been picking on St. Louis, despite as a team them not being all that great. His K prop 5.5 juices strongly on the under, but he is a minus 130 road favorite. Game total just 7.5. Um, I think there's enough upside, so I don't mind. Maybe a 10 to 15%, maybe even up to 20%. I'll have to see how the percentages work out for me as I get into it more. Scherzer made his return from the IL, faced the Seattle squad. Wasn't overly sharp. Um, I don't know that I want to trust him. He did get to 73 pitches. He could push 90 pitches in this spot. There is plenty of K upside against Seattle. It's just a matter of can Scherzer get us there. Uh, I'm not 100% sure that he's able to right now, but I'm intrigued a little bit. He is a minus 130 home favorite. K prop of 5.5. Juice is slightly on the over. Um, so I would think that K prop's a little higher than I would have thought for Scherzer himself, but it's probably in line with what we should expect when facing a Seattle squad. Uh, Detmers, chalky, got lit up last time after having a couple strong starts in a row after returning from 3 months in the minors. It would not shock me to see him go out there and get it done, but it also would not shock me to see him get lit up again. It's just been one of those seasons for Detmers. K prop of 4.5 juices on strongly on the over. Houston doesn't strike out a whole lot, so but he just always offers huge K upside. The problems: walks, home runs, they come in bunches. Uh, Probably gonna have to pass on Detmers, but I think we can live with if he shuts down Houston a bit. But Martin Perez, not a huge upside guy. Best when pitching at home. Like you said, just not huge upside. If you would have got the W in this Detroit game, you would have got to that 25-point mark that we kind of look for, or I look for, 25 plus. Um, the biggest thing is he's just a massive minus 290 favorite here. K prop of 4.5 juices on the under. Um, but he goes, 4Ks or something. I would expect him to limit base runners and be something similar to this Detroit start, to be honest, and hopefully picking up the W. Makes a ton of sense as a cash safe SP2 uh, on the slate, even though I'm not really a cash player at all. Savali, not against Arizona. Hancock hasn't turned into anything that we thought he would. He's not a big K guy at all. Um, so I'm just not going to go there. Walker Buehler gets a matchup we love. Looked better in his last start, aside from the 5 walks against Atlanta. He cuts those down, turns in a W. Now we're actually looking at a strong start. He obviously did showcase strong start against Cincinnati earlier in his return. Um, Colorado did get to him a little bit. His highest strikeout performance of the year did come against Colorado. So there are things to like about the matchup. His K props at 5.5, juices on the over. He's a minus 285 favorite. Shockingly, the game total, game total sitting at 9 in LA. Seems like an aggressive number, but obviously the Dodgers bats against a guy like Quantrill. It's probably why. Man, they've decimated Quantrill this year in a couple of meetings. But there we have it. There's a first look at pitching for today. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us and get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.